Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more Castle of Lost Souls. And in this episode, we're going to attempt to head around town finding the various items that we seek. Now I'm going to be really lazy and check if we can just buy any of them in the market. I'm hoping the answer to that will be a solid no, and that does indeed appear to be the case. Although we can probably part with this old ringmail armour now. Now, we have one of the 4 items that we seek, and we know one can be found at the mansion. Let's head to the 4 Clover Inn because we are looking for a crystal ball, a 4-leafed clover, a fragment of armour which we have managed to obtain, and a tear from the sister who dwells in the mansion, but we can visit quite easy. The 4-leafed Clover Inn stands at the centre of the village of Linton. A horse brass in the shape of a 4-leafed clover hangs above the bar in the smoky, cosy public room. You might try stealing this if you think it will prove useful. However, why don't we just speak with the innkeeper first? You order a drink. The innkeeper mentions that there are sometimes 4-leaf clovers to be found in the beer garden behind the inn. Hence the name, he chuckles. Let's search the garden. You soon find that the inn's beer garden is expansive and overgrown. Finding a 4-leaf clover here will be akin to finding a needle in a haystack, or indeed, a clover in a jungle. Undaunted, you begin your task. After just a few minutes of searching, you come upon a 4-leafed clover, and I'm going to hope this is what we're after because trying to steal the horse brass seems daft. Beaming, you carefully fold a square of cloth about the clover and stow it amongst your belongings. So now, we probably want to look into the Rajesti nomads and see if we can obtain a crystal ball from them. A fete occupying 2 full fields is taking place along the western edge of Linton. You head in that direction, eager to see what diversions it might offer. We can visit a fortune teller, watch for jousting, watch for snake charmer, visit the sideshows, or return to a village centre. We will visit a fortune teller. You climb the steps of a brightly painted caravan, push aside the silky curtain over the doorway and enter. It is dimly lit. There is a strange herbal smell. Incense, perhaps. Exotic, colourful fabrics hang down in drapes, disguising the size of the caravan's interior. You feel heady and disorientated, as though you have stepped from the noise and bustle of the fair into a different world. Your eyes adjust to the gloom, as your eyes do adjust to that gloom. You notice with a start a figure who sits at a table covered in velvet. The fortune teller is no wizened crone, but a striking young woman with red gold hair and long lashed eyes of sea green. She beckons you forward, and finally you notice the crystal ball on the table. It shimmers, reflecting the myriad colours in the room. She places her fingertips on either side of the crystal ball. "My name is Clara," she says. "Have you come to see what the future holds?" The ball before Crystal Clara will certainly serve as one of the items you need to find and face Slank. The only question is how to acquire it. We could ask her to read our fortune. Ask her to read her own fortune, just try and steal it right there in front of her. That seems a bit daft. We could offer to buy it. Now I don't think that option is straight up available. in the original book. Or we could invite Clara out for a drink in the fair. Why not? We didn't try it in the old Let's Play. Let's try it in the new one. We'll make a charisma roll. Ooh, do we have a new potion of godliness? Okay. Ah, good luck. Fates have blessed us with a favourable roll. She is flattered and gives you a smile. You leave the caravan together and make your way to a large tent nearby. A few drunken figures, locals and Rajasthani alike, stand, sit or lie around it. The wine and ale flow freely here. You push your way through the crowds of merrymakers and find a small table where you offer Clara a long drink. Soon she relaxes and starts to laugh and joke. A few of the more rowdy customers egg her on to dance with them. Eventually, quite quickly in fact, she is persuaded and, picking up a tambourine you hadn't noticed before, she slaps it against her thighs and begins a rapid whirling dance. The men all cheer, crowding in a circle around her and clapping their hands. She seems to have lost interest in you, in any case. You enjoy a last sip from the wine you've bought, then make a discreet exit, returning to her caravan and take the crystal ball. Much easier than fighting the two Rajasthani nomads in her caravan in the original book, I must say. That left us sorely wounded. Now, I'm tempted to go visit the joust and see... I'm going to presume that one armor sliver is as good as another, and that we are now ready to return to the mansion. The Fae's mansion is an imposing black-walled building in the centre of extensive grounds. Though a few decades old, the building's facade is unblemished, pristine. As you approach the house, it seems a brisk breeze carries the faintest whiff of brimstone to you. Your imagination, surely. You consider your progress in Jasper's task so far, while you approach the mansion and slam its heavy iron knocker against its front door. Keep in mind that even if you do not have all the artifacts, you may nonetheless wish to begin the next stage of your task, unwisely, perhaps. No. Let's stay in the mansion. You may rest and store equipment without risk at the Fae's mansion while readying yourself for your journey to the Castle of Lost Souls. In particular, if you choose to venture further afield into Golnir, you may wish to store important items here that will be needed in your mission to defeat Slank. This will ensure you do not risk losing them, as they likely cannot be replaced. We shall visit Elvira Faes. Jasper tells one of his younger brothers to take you to Elvira. You are led up a winding staircase and along a gallery hung with old paintings. The brother guiding you is either surly or half-witted, for he won't answer when you speak to him. You reach Elvira's room and the brother ushers you inside. You're surprised to see a little girl no more than 4 years old. That is a surprise, given how their father died of old age. How will you make her cry? You could twist her arm, that's not very nice. Rip off her teddy bear's head! Tell her a joke, or just give up. We'll try telling her a joke. We might be able to make her, weep tears of laughter. Reducing a young child to cheers of laughter will be no mean feat. We'll make the attempt. Oh, use a blessing. The gods sometimes smile upon the worthy. And indeed they do. Something about you appeals to the young girl, and soon she is rolling about on the floor, clutching her sides. Jasper's brother, conversely, merely watches you with a disapproving air. Each to their own, you collect some of Elvira's tears in a vial he gives you. And now, let's just deposit all 4 items together to make it extra obvious that we have precisely what we need. Oh, 2 crossbow bolts. Well, we don't use the crossbow very often. Let's now depart and click on the mansion again. By hook or by crook, you have obtained the 4 items you sought in this area. The process of acquiring these artifacts, whether through negotiation, cunning or force, has proved more demanding than you anticipated. The experience has left you feeling somewhat hardier, better prepared for the greater trials that surely lie ahead. Your maximum stamina is permanently increased by 1. Oh no, does that make it an odd number again? Let's begin the next stage of our task, daunting though it may be. You enter the mansion and show an ecstatic Jasper the various items you have acquired. The next stage of your journey to face Slank begins now. You take breakfast with the Faze family. Jasper's 4 brothers are not talkative so early in the morning. 2 glower from obvious hangovers while a 3rd stares bemusedly at you, as though trying to place your face. "This is the noble champion who will rescue our father's soul," declares Jasper suddenly. Little Elvira Faze watches you with a look of palpable skepticism, which you find disturbing in one so young. The butler brings you your weapons and backpack. "I have had Mortlake pack some provisions for your journey," Jasper continues, "and you will also find in your pack a small pot containing 4 applications of a magical salve of healing." This proves to be a rather foul-smelling preparation made from rancid milk, animal fat and rotting vegetables, although it does actually have remarkable healing properties. Spreading it on your wounds will restore 4 points of stamina each time it is used, the same amount as the amount of vigor points it healed in the original book, although we have a different amount of stamina and the damage incoming, different balance of economy, so we'll see how useful it is. Then Jasper gives you a leather knapsack. "This bag reputedly once belonged to Saint Berenius the Traveller. Take it. It may prove useful. Expand your carrying capacity. A relic of Saint Berenius the Traveller, it counts as a single item while storing up to 6 possessions. If the bag is lost, all items are lost with it." You take a few moments to prepare yourself for the great trials that await you. Will you succeed and live on in legends until the end of time, or will you sink into the mists of obscurity, lost to some nameless fate? Only the future will tell. Your immediate task is to travel north, up past the Abbey into the eastern passes of the Haunted Hills. Wear your demon-crafted boots at all times. So long as you do, they will seek out the right path, one way or another, and guide you into the great swamp, the Sodden Blight, which marks the way to the Castle of Lost Souls. He almost makes it sound as if the boots will be guiding you rather than the reverse. Curious now, you glance at your map of the region. No swamp is marked north of your current area. You point this out, but Jasper only smiles. The boots will find it. You have rested well. Then you pull on the infernal boots. Jasper, napkin still in hand, accompanies you as far as the dining room door. "I wish you good luck in your venture," he says through a mouthful of toast. "I can offer you no help or advice, save these 2 snippets of information. First, I have heard that 2 small goblin tribes have taken up residence in the Haunted Hills of late, the Drans and the Kabagoos. Both tribes have a curious code of honor that obliges them to be unfailingly truthful with outsiders. However, reports are that one tribe has offended a local witch. She has cursed one or other of the tribes to speak nothing but lies. Which tribe? I can't say. Secondly, it is said that strange phantasms can appear in the mists enveloping the Sodden Blight. Ignore them. These phantasms can cause a traveller no hardship, that's as long as he or she disregards them. Or so the current theory goes. And now, farewell. You leave the Fae's mansion and make your way north, out of the Fae's estate. 2 items remain to be found, a saint's ashes and the hair of a penitent. But for now, all that occupies your mind is that it is a glorious morning, and you are about to embark on another challenging adventure. Much remains to be done in your mission to confront Slank. It occurs that now, in this brief moment of respite, between one stage of your adventure and the next might be an opportune time to pause your mission and travel out into Golnir and beyond. You may, if you wish, venture out into the wider world. Also note that you will need your infernal boots to seek out Slank's home. Be careful not to lose them as you travel further afield. Well, I think what I'm going to do is pop all 4 of these items into the knapsack of St. Berenius and try very hard not to lose it. In fact, we will just pop it there next to our lantern. And what we'll move things around like this. Yeah. We'll put the poison spike over that way. So this is the point we reached in the old book. I'm happy to go further. Let's begin our journey to Slank's foul home. You set out at a brisk pace and soon leave the fields and meadows around the village far behind. If you are ever killed and resurrected when you resume your travels once more, your infernal boots will swiftly guide you along the route to the castle once more. Keep in mind these boots are vital to your task and you should try never to lose them. If at any point you are not sure how to resume your path towards the home of Slank, make sure to return to Linton and visit FaZe's mansion. Now, we've just had 2 or 3 warnings about losing items. You know what? Our feet are at the bottom, the bag is going to be higher up on our body somewhere. So we need to be careful about having things lost or stolen. Why would we go to the Rainbow River? We're wanting to go to the Abbey, surely. This particular corner of Golnir is calm and agreeable, yet the pleasant surroundings belie the gravity of your current sinister task. After some time, you come to a wide, fast-moving stream, seeing a bridge some distance away. You head in that direction. As you're about to cross, however, a tall, slender man in grey robes appears from under the arch of the bridge, and calls up to you that you must pay a toll of 30 shards to cross here. It is a hefty toll indeed. I imagine that is also the price it was in the old book, but I'll find out when I play it. Let's pay him the money because this is Fabled Lands and we have an abundance of wealth. As opposed to in the original book where we started with 30 coins and spent 20 of them and got 17 back, so we don't quite have the money. Right, so you give him the toll he has asked for and he pockets it. On better terms now, you ask if he knows where you might find the remaining items you seek. A strand of a penitent's hair and the ashes of a saint. He scratches the back of his neck. Don't know about the strand of hair, he says, after some thought, but there is a sort of temple not too far from here where some old holy man was buried. Maybe he was a saint. He gives you directions and you set off in search of the shrine. You soon come across a crumbling temple, a marble dome supported by 3 thick old pillars. Unchecked plants have partially overgrown one of the pillars, but you see some evidence of recent passage here. Each pillar is most notably carved with a skull. This is a site dedicated to the god of death and rebirth, Nagil. Within you see a verdigris-stained urn. As you step between the pillars, a silvery light appears out of nowhere to halo the urn. We could back off and leave, or just stay and see what happens. You're in a sacred place. The dread Lord of Death, who oversees this temple, looks into your heart, sees your past actions, and judges your spiritual purity. We do not have the title Chosen One of Nagil. It takes quite a bit to gain. So we have been forced to make a sanctity roll, and we have not been found wanting. Nagil approves of your presence in this place, and you feel his favour fall upon you. You are granted resurrection in the case of your death. You can only have one resurrection arrangement at a time. Damn, we arranged one back in Linton. If you already have a resurrection agreement noted on your adventure sheet, you may keep it or discard it in favour of this new arrangement as you prefer. Should you organise resurrection elsewhere in the future, this resurrection will be annulled in favour of your new arrangement. We will keep our current agreement. You reach into the silver glow and take the urn. Peeking within, you see that it contains ashes. In such a clearly holy place, you guess them to be those of a saint. You may take the saint's ashes if you wish, and then go on your way. Well, I'd be a fool not to. And since the traveller's bag can store exactly 6 items, we'll just pop it right in there, while we're waiting for the hair of a penitent. Pace by pace you wind your way up towards the haunted hills. Are your boots really searching out a path towards the demon's castle, or perhaps guiding you along that path without your knowledge? Questions better not asked, perhaps. A cry up ahead draws your attention. A small group of bandits has attacked a party of travellers. 2 guards lie dead in the road, and a third is battling against the impossible odds to prevent the robbers from getting to the palanquin he was accompanying. You see an old man with a staff cowering beside the palanquin. Well, let's help the guard and the old man. I'm not going to help the bandits. And Vorga herself is the paladin of Ravane. She's not going to let these people suffer. 4 of the bandits see you coming and leave their comrades to massacre the guard while they deal with you. Well, we'll soon see about that. Alright, you lawless scum. What do we got here? Weapon mastery. We need to... I was tempted to grab another skill to fill that slot, but it's okay. Let's go... Tactical assessment. Sure. Most of them are going to come to us a bit anyway. Yes, that was expensive to step onto, with 2 points left. Sure. We'll shout and force them back. Go whirlwind strike. And a following blow on that one. And if we can just take care of her, we've just got the crossbone waiting for. Our trusty armour and shield have seen us through this melee. Again, Vorga is a mighty warrior woman. She might not be so good at some other things, mind you. Seeing you defeat 4 opponents single-handedly, the remaining bandits turn tail and flee. Then, a young woman with a stern face steps from the palanquin. She smiles and thanks you for your brave intervention. The old man gets up, retrieves his staff and walks over to you. You glance at the guard who was valiantly fighting on to protect the palanquin, but you see that the bandits have managed to slay him. Searching the bandits' bodies, you find a flail, 3 swords, 2 suits of leather armour, and 82 shards. Well, we've taken the money. We don't particularly need these weapons. And we're probably going to find important items along the way. Oh, but wait. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, I expect this may be the penitent, the young woman. In case we get robbed and need to discard items, we're padding our inventory. Okay? The old man explains that he is Gorbran, a servant of Lacuna. He was escorting the woman whose name is Norwena to the nearby abbey, where she is to be initiated into the Holy Order to atone for acts that have brought great shame upon her family. Since they now lack guards for their journey, you decide to accompany them. Soon enough, the abbey comes into sight. The moss-covered roofs of the abbey building stand high above a neatly trimmed hedgerow. Gorbran mentions that the magic or faith of the nuns within protect this place. Without him to guide you, you would likely never have found it. Vorga is a devout worshipper of Lacuna. She can find the abbey at almost any time. Lacuna is the goddess of the wilderness and the moon. The nuns who reside in this abbey, every single one of them dressed in a brown and green habit, are civil with you, but seem uneasy. We could search for remains of a saint. We already have what we require there, so let us speak with the abbess. The abbess frowns as you speak with her. Normally, we might initiate visitors into the worship of Lacuna, or even allow them to formally renounce that worship if that was really the path that they have chosen. But being truthful, I feel you have brought a disruptive force into this place. I prefer not to conduct such ceremonies for now. Is she talking about your boots? You mention your search for a strand of a penitent's hair and ask whether she might help. The faithful comes to this place for many reasons, she answers. My concern is the life one leads in following the moon goddess, not the life that one has left behind in order to do so. A pause, and then, still, you did us a great service escorting young Norwena here, and I'll say that a travelling healer is staying with us at this moment. You would do well to seek her counsel on this matter. She is quite partial to gossip. Lacuna is the goddess of the wilderness and the moon. So, ask for healing? As there's a travelling healer here, right? You are fortunate that you happen to be visiting the abbey at the same time as one of their skilled healers. She recognizes you as the one who saved a young initiate of Lacuna from bandits and offers to treat you without charge. If you ask the healer to treat you, she will restore 3 stamina points. If you are wounded, you may only receive this bonus once during this visit, as well as curing you of any curses or diseases you are currently suffering from. I see no curses and diseases, so that is fortunate. We'll talk with her. The healer will not be at the abbey for long. She mentions she plans to visit the large cities to the south of Golnir. It is harder to feel the call of the moon goddess there, for sure, but the dregs, the miscreants, the hopeless, they deserve kindness too, and that's a world I know only too well. We'll ask her about the penitent's hair. You mention your search for a strand of the penitent's hair to her and ask whether she might help. She narrows her eyes, regarding you with interest. She nods. I can help you with that. It is said that a strand of hair from a penitent of Lacuna can be used in certain rituals to call upon the goddess's aid. I can cut you a strand if you like. We'll ask her to do so. Norwena, who you accompanied here, has just taken her vows of devotion to the goddess. The shrewd healer has encountered Norwena before. She summons the girl and cuts away a strand of her long hair, which she presents to you. And there it is. Let's just get rid of one of these items. I encountered that girl on the streets of Ringhorn, living a life few would describe as pure. She and I are not so dissimilar. I wonder if she might care to accompany me on my travels one day soon. We'll thank her and go back. Maybe Norwenna will become a travelling healer and head back to Ringhorn to look after the needy. And with that, we have acquired all 6 of the items we need for our quest. We're not going to search for the remains of a saint. We'll just depart for now. It's time to be on your way. Leaving the grounds around the abbey, you try to find the route leading up into the haunted hills once more. Maybe we shouldn't try too hard. If we're concentrating less, the boots might be able to find the way. Onwards you stalk, winding to the west of the Forest of the Forsaken. Still, you see no swamp. Away in the distance, the haunted hills peep over the horizon. Oh, a roof to sleep under. Lovely. Twilight tidings. That might have been a fun one to get. Night is closing in when you see a ramshackle hut high up on a ridge with a narrow, twisting path leading up to it. Sleeping within will surely be warmer and safer than without. Let's seek shelter. This may be dangerous, mind you. If we get robbed while we're sleeping. Ooh. You wend your way up to the hut and rap smartly on the door. A small flap opens and a bloodshot eye peers out at you. Then you hear bolts being drawn back and the door is opened by a heavy-set man in red and black robes. Seeing you, he smiles and holds up a jug of wine he has in one hand. As the sun sinks in its own blood and night strokes the land with fingers of shadow, let us drink together and pass merry comment on the transience of things. It is clear as he imbibes several jugs of wine already, as he seems to be slurring his words somewhat. Okay, we'll accept the offer. I don't think he's going to rob us, or sacrifice us, or drink our blood if he's already drunk. But let's see. The man, whose name is Garl, feeds you with a delicious and nourishing stew. The wine he offers is also withstanding, nothing like the rough homebrew you had expected. Garl is obviously even drunker than you thought. He sits in his armchair watching you eat, taking great gulps from his mug and saying things such as, "You're an adventurer who has performed deeds of great credit, while I am but a hermit with a dubious past. Yet when we belch, where then is the difference between us?" Finally, noticing you stifle a yawn, he shows you to your room where you prepare to rest. He's probably too drunk to do anything bad to us in our sleep, but someone else might come in here and rob us, so let's stay awake. Easier said than done. Perhaps when one has been drinking and has a comfortable bed, oh, 2 dice, yeah, that ain't happening. We're gonna go to sleep, aren't we? You awaken with a start, instantly aware of danger. You hurl yourself to one side just as an axe comes crashing down. A fraction slower and your head would have been split like firewood. Facing you in the half-light is Garl, wielding a massive axe as though it were a toothpick. At least you restore 2 stamina points from your brief rest, and we haven't been robbed. You now see that Garl is a cold-hearted ogre, hungry for your flesh, and his earlier human appearance merely a magical facade. Well then, let's put an end to his wickedness. Oh, a 3-headed ogre. He's got to be really hungry with all those mouths to feed. We'll make a tactical assessment and let Garl approach. Right. We'll go stunning blow. And strike again. And then we... Oh, you know what? Let's shout at him as well. Oh, and Garl actually strikes us. Now things are getting a little bit dangerous. Okay. Put up a bit of a good fight, but he shouldn't have attempted to slay a paladin of Ravane. Yeah, I'm gonna totally be humbled going forwards. You ransack Gull's home in search of treasure he may have looted from travellers. You find a potion of healing, a ring of light, Gull's great axe, and 16 shards. Let's take the potion of healing. The great axe is not that good, but the ring of light. A steady glow circles your hand, gentler than fire, yet just as faithful. That... Oh, that's so annoying! Right. We could have picked up the ring first, equipped it. The ring may be used in place of a lantern to provide a light source when necessary. Then, under the floorboards, you are also revolted to discover human bones from over 30 bodies, neatly arranged in boxes with notes on the quality of the meal each person provided. You pass the rest of the night in a fitful sleep full of harrowing nightmares and depart this dreadful place before the sun is up. Well, let's wear the Ring of Light. Now, this will be interesting. Will the Ring of Light count as a lantern or candle outside this adventure in the broader scope of the world of the Fabled Lands? That remains to be seen. If it does, that makes it an excellent item. The ground beneath your feet begins to rise as you climb into the easternmost edge of the haunted hills. Far off to your right, the forest of the Forsaken is a great green swath along the horizon. No, it's not. A great green swathe along the horizon. Get it right. Swath is idiots who don't know pronunciation, weren't brought up properly. Anyway, as we all know about the Peddler of Swatham. Haha. Right. Far off to your right, the forest of the Forsaken is a great green swathe along the horizon. North of that stands Sky Mountain, almost impossibly high, its peak disappearing into a smear of grey cloud that covers the heavens. And still you see no indications of a swamp. Perhaps you have taken a wrong turning, or maybe these double-damned boots are leading you astray. For a short while you sit and consider removing them, perhaps venturing elsewhere in this land. And yet you hesitate to do so, for what else can you cling to but hope that safely steer you towards the Sodden Blight and Slank's castle thereafter? No, you are committed. For now, you must walk where these boots will take you. Into the haunted hills where we slew a dragon in the past. You march on through the haunted hills. Only maniacs and monsters tend to dwell in this place, and even they are few and far between. About mid-morning, you are passing between two hills when you come face to face with a Lamassu, a winged lion with an almost human face, and a Babylonian beard and headdress, if I remember correctly. It makes no immediate move to attack, however, and you consider your next action as you recover from your initial shock. We'll wait for its first action. The Lamassu cocks its head to one side as it watches you. You decide to show it you have nothing in your hands, while saying a few words in a soothing tone. The Lamassu holds up its paw to show you that there is a large thorn stuck right through it. Then, to your amazement, it speaks. That's all very nice, but I seem to have this thorn. You realize that the poor creature means no harm, and you risk a few tentative steps forward to help it. Was it just a line in the original book? I think it might have been. Awfully decent of you, says the Lamassu as you draw the thorn from its paw. Rather embarrassing, really. Can't think how I came to tread on the damned thing. If you're heading through these hills, let me give you some advice. 2 tribes of goblins have made their home here, the Drans and the Kabagoos. You can never tell the difference between them because they mix freely and wear the same outlandish clothes. The only thing is that the Drans always tell the truth to outsiders, and the Kabagoos have been cursed to always lie. The witch who cursed them lives just a short way west of here, in fact. I hope that's of some help to you. But Lamasu thanks you once more, then takes its leave. Well, let's go look for the witch's hut. Maybe we can persuade her to lift the curse. You come across a cabin in the hills, built up from the fir trees that are sparsely dotted about the hard ground here. Curious, you approach. Your knock on its door goes unanswered, and so you warily step inside. The interior of the cabin is quite poorly maintained and a little dirty. You find a few clothes and signs of occasional use by a trapper, or some such, but nothing of note. It is only when you leave the cabin that something startling occurs. You step through the cabin's only door to go back outside, and yet, on the other side of that doorway, you find yourself inside the cabin once more. That is, the door that should lead outside leads inside. Alarmed, you try to climb out through the cabin's window, and yet, impossibly, you only succeed in climbing back into the very same cabin.
The window? I haven't seen that one in a while.
You turn at the voice. Behind you stands a stooped old hag, unrolling a blanket on the cabin's small table. Within the blanket are a number of curios.
Excuse the trickery, won't you? It's just I find captive customers far more willing to part with their money.
Let's speak with her and see what she wants. Rather than just outright attacking her. We might never get out of here if we do.
Buy my wares, win my favour, says the hag, nodding down at the items on the table before her. It's as simple as that. The tricky part is in spotting what's good and what will harm you. Even I'm not really sure what's what these days.
You consider the curiosity she has spread out on the table before you. The hag will not let you handle the items. It is not immediately apparent what properties each of them might possess. The two of you negotiate for a little while, then settle on prices. The hag has only one of each item, and she's not interested in buying anything from you. A lantern? We do not need a lantern, we have the Ring of Light. Monkey Paw Ring. Could be an incredibly powerful item, could be cursed. A Wand of Myrtle. We can go with that. These prices will not be the same in the original book. The wand serves to focus your magical sensibilities when you use it, but you sense that the benefit it grants you is quite slight. In truth, you wonder if you have overpaid for this item. Quite probably. The hag still wants us to buy things. We might find another use. Let's chuck this. The runic gauntlets do sound familiar for some reason. Oh. The gauntlets are made of worn leather with runic swirls written on them in a curious white ink. You try them on and they abruptly tighten on your hands, crushing your bones together and causing you to cry out in pain. That's a lot of pain. You find that you cannot remove the gloves, and they even prove resistant to being cut away from your hands. They cause a constant throbbing ache, and the bulk of them greatly impedes your combat, your dexterity. Oh, goodness. If you ever die and are resurrected, this will prove sufficient to lift the curse. Is that the only way? Well, we don't seem to be... So, they... crushed hands, I see. It's almost like this quest wants us to, The hag glances your way with an unsympathetic shrug.
Ah, now somebody with a trained eye would have spotted that, so the fault is yours, really. I did mention my no refunds policy, didn't I? Well, let's grab the compass as well. We already have a wolf's pelt, so presumably we can just use the one we've already got. The compass indicates north as expected, and yet you realise that when you grip it tightly in your hand, you gain an eerily acute awareness of the bird song and animal noises around you. The strength and direction of the breeze, the smell of the grass nearby. You have stumbled across an item that is far from ordinary. You can sell it at any market for 800 shards. However, if we compared it to our ordinary compass, why would we ever desire to do so? I'm not going to buy another potentially cursed item. And the lantern might be overdoing it too. We're done here. You know what else I'm going to do though? Let's drink that healing potion. The hag chatters away while you're inspecting your purchase. It's so good to encounter somebody agreeable in these hills, she says. Not like those blasted Kabagoo goblins always telling me how ugly and smelly I am. I got so annoyed I cursed the whole tribe so that they can only speak in falsehoods. They're much more pleasant to me now, curiously enough. As she speaks, both she and the cabin gradually fade from sight until you are alone on the hillside once more. You walk on at a brisk pace, soon reaching a treacherous pass through the hills. Here you are forced to slow down, edging along a narrow path that runs the length of a ravine wall. 3 times you slip and lose your footing as you advance, and it is only sheer luck that prevents you spilling out into the void and sustaining a grievous injury from below. You are about ready to turn back, but some instinct within is certain that your damned boots are guiding you this way for a reason. To shy away from this path would be to lose, perhaps for good, any hope of reaching the Castle of Lost Souls. You must travel on as best you can or relinquish your task. Up ahead, the ravine wall fragments, and your narrow trail forks in 2. Up above the fork, you spot 2 tiny shriveled goblins perched on a rocky outcropping, watching your approach. The 2 of them are virtually indistinguishable. Both have a shock of white hair over their sharp, wily faces. As you reach the fork, you remember Jasper's parting words to you and shout out a question to the goblins, asking whether they are Drans or Kabagoos. One goblin answers, but so indistinctly that you cannot quite hear him. You're about to repeat the question when the second goblin pipes up, "He said that he's a Kabagoo and that I'm a Dran." Are you deaf or something? Ignoring his disrespectful attitude, you demand of the second goblin if he knows of any swamp in this region. "The Sodden Blight, you mean?" he answers. "You want to go left." You take a few tentative steps along that path and the goblin calls down, "Go on, push off to that foul swamp." Both goblins start giggling, but you don't feel inclined to risk your life climbing up to teach them a lesson. You consider the 2 paths once more. Sadly, your fell boots offer no help in the choice before you. Now, if we operate on the assumption that one of them is a Dran and one is a Kabagoo, so we do not have anything from the first goblin. We only have... So what we have here is either all true or false. If the first goblin said, "I'm a Kabagoo and he's a Dran," then this second goblin is lying.
right? Is there a way we can prove one of these two statements? So they could both belong to the same clan, right? But let's ignore that possibility for a moment. And you know what? We got some rations here. We could do with a little more healing. There we go. So if this is a lie, this is a lie, but then go on, push off to that foul swamp. Would also be a lie, right? Both goblins start giggling, so you don't feel inclined to... Now, this is it, isn't it, right? So, if we assume they are both from the two different clans, this one, if the first goblin says, I'm a Kabagoo and he's a Dran, then the second goblin won't say that he said that, and will say something else. Which would mean that the first goblin, if we then presume the second goblin is telling the truth, then the first goblin did not say, I'm a Kabagoo and he's a Dran. And we know the Drans always tell the truth and the Kabagoos always lie. So, if the first goblin said, I'm a Dran and he's a Kabagoo, then the second goblin lying says, he's a Kabagoo and I'm a Dran. So the goblin who's speaking to us is only telling the truth if... Right, let's do that again. If the first goblin is a liar, and the second goblin tells the truth, he's repeating the first goblin's lie. Alright? And if the first goblin tells the truth, and the second goblin is a liar, the first goblin did not say this. So... this is a lie, right? If the first goblin is a Kabagoo and says he's a Kabagoo and the other one's a Dran, if the first goblin's a Kabagoo, he has to tell a lie, so he'll say he's a Dran and the other one's a Kabagoo. The second goblin has to always tell the truth and cannot say this. So, if the first goblin tells the truth, the second goblin who lies tells this, which means the first goblin is a Kabagoo, the second goblin is a Dran. So we go to the right. The trail widens out and you realise you're approaching the northern edge of the haunted hills. Craftiness or luck has allowed you to choose the right path to the Sodden Blight. And here, look at this. Ooh, the world has changed. The essence of the world has changed. And we will consume once more to be back at full health. At last you emerge from a network of gullies that cleave through the northern edge of the haunted hills, and you can see out across this tip of Golnir once more. But no, something is badly wrong. This is not the land you know. The whole spine of Harkoon mountain range is missing. Either you have taken a wrong turn within the hills, or... Of course! The diabolical boots on your feet have led you far from amiable green Golnir. This is another place entirely. Down below, a little way beyond the hills, you see the foul mists that mark the boundary of the Sodden Blight. Somewhere beyond lies the castle of the demon Slank. And it would appear to be in that direction. To the east. Ahead of you, the horizon is lost in a blur of mist. Realizing that it will be difficult to find wood to start your campfire in the dank swamp, You start to gather kindling as you descend the trail. Once you at last reach the low-lying moors and marshes, your progress is slowed considerably, for you have to wend your way around tracts of treacherous mire. Out of the corner of your eye, you notice something. A crystal ball of all things just off the path to your left. It looks unsettlingly like the one you should have in your backpack. We know there are phantasms in the marsh, and they can only harm us if we pay attention to them. So if we check our backpack, will it then disappear? Let's ignore it and walk on. Then we'll check our backpack. It's still there. Just ahead of you, draped over a gnarled branch of a tree, you spot a strand of long black hair. Might it be the hair of a penitent that you have already collected? We have it already. We will not check our backpack. If we open it, thieving fingers of mist may come in and steal our treasures. Let's continue on. You hurry on while misty fingers seem to caress you with an edge of both tenderness and malevolence. Soon enough, the mist seems to recede from you, pulling back to some point ahead. Yet that way lies your route onwards. You must continue, warily, regardless. From the remnants of the mist you see the outline of a figure staggering towards you. Figuring an attack, you ready your weapon, but no, it is a young woman who emerges from the mist, thin to the point of malnourishment and showing signs of grave mistreatment. She sees you and opens her mouth to speak, but before a word emerges, she collapses. Only then do you see a great bleeding gouge down her left-hand side. "Chon-chons," she murmurs. These words spoken, her eyes flutter a few moments and she passes out. It seems she will surely die without your help. Let's pretend this is real and try to save her life. The young woman hovers at the edge of death. Bringing her to this side of mortality will be no easy task. If you have any items to restore stamina, you may use it now to help her. We shall use a healing item. The healing item to use would be 1 dose of the healing salve. At last, the young woman's eyelids open. She starts with alarm upon seeing you, but you reassure her that you mean her no harm. Hesitantly, she tells you that her name is Melua, and that until recently she was a prisoner in Slank's Castle of Lost Souls. "I found myself there through no fault of my own," she says. "My father was a foul sorcerer who promised my soul to the demon from the moment of my birth. I don't know how long I've been there. At last I grew so thin that I could squeeze through the bars of my cage and escape, yet no sooner had I fled than I was attacked by the flying chon-chons that patrol the wastelands before the castle. I was lucky to escape with, well, whatever passes for a life in this place." Melua is unwilling to venture through the Sodden Blight alone. She sees you are reluctant to travel back to Golnir with her, however, and so offers to show you the safest route back to Slank's castle, if you will return to her side thereafter. It seems a good deal, you agree. You have a companion. Will that be noted on our character sheet that Melua is travelling with us? It is not. I don't see it listed anyway. Let's pray she does not endanger us, for she may be already dead. The marshy ground at last becomes harder underfoot, and the feeble light of the Sodden Blight fades entirely as you leave that dank place behind you. And yet you have the sense it is too soon for sunset. No, the sun does not set in this place. Rather, it evades this realm entirely. A maddening silence descends all around. The final, boldest rays of day graze your head and shoulders for the last time, allowing you to see that you are no longer walking under the sky, but under a vast ceiling of rock, and then you realize the truth. You are descending into the fabled underworld. You will need a source of illumination here. Not a candle. This will burn out too quickly. We have a light source. We have the ring of light and a lantern as well, actually. Your own footsteps are the only sound you can hear, apart from the footsteps of Mellower, obviously, as you trudge through this dim land. A curious urge to hum comes over you, if only to hear your own voice, and yet, how better to alert the beings of this place to your presence? You leave the realm of mankind behind you and test your luck. Ooh, okay then, so be it. Time passes, even in this sunless domain, and as you start to tire, you search for somewhere to make camp. You soon come across an area where hard rock gives way to earthy ground covered with spongy moss and patches of long grass, and you start a small fire with the wood you collected earlier. After a light supper, you settle down to rest. Sleep does not come easily here, and your small fire dims to embers while drowsiness eludes you. Only as you are finally dozing off do you notice a faint skittering noise here in this silent place. You come awake suddenly. Creatures are stirring in the darkness all around you. Your little camp is surrounded by hordes of beings you know only from ancient legends. These are Marshons, small, hairless, leathery creatures with long, many-jointed fingers and large, lidless eyes. Attracted by your fire, they move around you like moths around a candle. From what you have heard, they are amphibious. Surely they haven't followed you from the Sodden Blight now, far behind you. No, it is inconceivable that you would not have spotted such a horde. They must be native to this earthy terrain. They supposedly eat only fungus and weeds, but you are nonetheless in the deadliest peril from them, for if they press forward towards the light which has attracted them, you will be smothered and crushed by the countless hordes of bodies. Mellower is in a state of near terror at the sight of the creatures around you, and you whisper for her to calm herself. We can try to distract them, light our lantern, or use a ring of light. I don't want to waste the ring of light, but this feels like the right place to use it. I suppose we light it up and then throw it away and they go running off after it. They are drawn to the light. We don't want them to crush us. But it is the magic item as opposed to the lantern, which is a mundane item. So traditionally, in an old-fashioned gamebook, this would be the correct choice. And if we die, we get rid of the curse of crushed hands, right? You hold up the ring and cause it to emit a brilliant flash. The Marshons clutch at their eyes and fall back, whimpering blindly by the light. They scurry off into the safety of the night. For now, you are safe. And we still have our ring. It's hard to gauge time in this sunless realm, but by the hunger in your belly and the tiredness in your muscles, you trudge and judge that you spend another day trekking through this network of caverns. And still you have the feeling that you are walking the exact right path that you need to, towards the Castle of Lost Souls. Your demon-crafted boots guide you well. At last, Mellower asks to halt, and you make a small fire with the last of the wood you brought from the edge of the swamp. Mellower offers to sit watch for a few hours while you sleep. My legs are aching, but I'm not so tired, she explains. The light from your meagre fire does not extend far into this subterranean realm, and yet all is silent about you. Surely the two of you could hear anybody who approaches long before they reach you. We could sit up with her, or think it wiser to conserve our strength and rest. We are not overly weakened, so we will sit with her and keep her company. As the two of you sit close to your small fire, Mellower begins to sing a wordless, haunting melody that calls to mind the sunlight of the surface realm you have left behind. The unique acoustics of this network of caverns make it seem as though her voice is all around you. It's like a lullaby. You're starting to doze off, your head drooping onto your chest when some finely honed instinct alerts you to danger. Meloa is close to you now, her hands carefully stripping you of your weapons. She still sings, and yet now there is a malevolent, murderous hunger in her face. You shove her away from you and rise, retaining your possessions. Her facade is exposed, and all pretense of friendship drops away from her. She too must have been trying to trick us all along. Meloa's face and hair turn grey, and her features blur as she becomes partially insubstantial. And then at last you guess the truth. She is a mist phantom that has accompanied you from the Sodden Blight, coalescing into human form to await an opportunity to slay you, while your guard is lowered. Yet she has not become wholly immaterial, so you can harm her, for a short while at least. Oh, wholly immaterial. I bet that would have been a psychic roll in the old gamebook. There is Meloa. Let her come to us. If we back up, tactical assessment, she can close, and we can bash her up against the rocks. And strike and shout, because that will give her a penalty to hit us. Can we roll a 6? Oh, she needed a double 6 to hit. Okay, then. There, foul spirit. Leave me be. Well, at least now we don't need to keep our promise to go back to her, because there is no her to return to. Meloa falls and rapidly begins to transform to mist once more, dispersing, never to return. If she previously took your weapon, it seems she got rid of it for good. So if we'd failed the roll, she would have taken away our weapon and we would have fought her unarmed. The phantom is soon utterly gone, as if it never existed. You rest a short while, then continue on your way, and we still have our weapons, mercifully. So looting the extra weapons earlier may have proved very useful. Additionally, we still have the 6 objects required for our quest. Onto the Plane of Ash. I think I'm going to go to the castle, then stop. You walk on through these caverns. The ceiling of rock far above your head begins to glow with an orange-white light, little by little at first, creeping through thin veins in the rock, but gradually encompassing the whole ceiling as you walk further and further. At last, the light is so bright that you can see clearly without the use of a lantern, which means that the Ring of Light may have been a single-use item in the original book. You enter a narrow tunnel, expecting it to open into another, wider chamber, and yet, even with this in mind, the sight that greets you at the tunnel's far end is stunning. An immense vista stretches out before you, a plain of ash leagues across in every direction. Leagues across in every direction. The same orange light shines from the rocky ceiling above, and this curious illumination and the sheer strangeness of the subterranean plain before you mingle to give this place a veneer of unreality that tickles at the part of your mind. The fact that such a place exists far below the land of Golnir, and that the amiable farland above doesn't simply collapse to fill this space, is astounding. But then, perhaps you are no longer beneath fair Golnir. Perhaps this underworld that your damned boots have brought you to exists elsewhere entirely. Back in the Golden Dragon Gamebook series, for example. Or the pages of 4 issues of White Dwarf many years ago. And across this plain of ash, far in the distance atop a pointed hill, stands a speck of darkness, one that causes your boots to fairly thrum with energy. And instinctively you know that this is your first glimpse of the Castle of Lost Souls, the prison of Lufa Faze, and the home of the demon Slank. You march into the strange plane before you... You march into the strange plane before you, each of your footfalls kicking up little clouds of ash. A glance left and right, it seems that other tunnels exist in the rock wall, each one leading away into another part of this underrealm. And yet to investigate them would require a lengthy diversion, and so you continue onwards, keen to put an end to this affair once and for all. A handful of rocks fall from the ceiling just a short way ahead of you, slamming down into the ground with a weighty thud. Looking up, you see a figure emerging from the ceiling, tunneling downwards into this large cavern. He drops from the ceiling and lands ahead of you. The fall would surely have shattered your bones, and yet he appears uninjured. He is a figure of darkness within deeper darkness, one of the Trow, the fairy denizens of this realm. He is carrying a bulging sack over his shoulder, and we have no fairy mead. But, remember, this was originally a self-contained adventure, so theoretically we should not require any items that we would have gained outside the adventure. Let's see. As you watch, the trowel bends down and begins scrabbling at the ashen ground at his feet. You guess he is about to tunnel away once more. So far he has not noticed you. Note that if you are currently suffering a combat penalty because of your poor lighting, it is now negated. No, it's nothing to do with the lighting. Let's call out to the creature and get his attention. The Trow is a trader and is happy to show you his wares. He empties out his sack on the ashen ground, arranging his wares before you with phenomenal skill and speed. He will not trade in shards, however. He will only accept mithrils, the currency used in this darkling realm. Oh shit. Do we? We don't have any, do we? Ooh, but we could sell the... Okay, let's sell the flail, because apparently he'll take that. And now we have one to give him when we go to leave, if need be. We can get a potion of healing. Deck of tarot cards. The edges are worn from countless fates foretold, each shuffle whispering a different doom. Let's buy these, in case they come in useful in the adventure. There's a throwing knife, that's interesting. Everything else is things we could obtain elsewhere, although, ooh, very nice items that we simply cannot afford right now. When you have finished trading with the Trow, he hastily gathers up his items and burrows away into the ground. Let's examine the deck of tarot cards we purchased from the Trow. You draw a card from the deck and place it face up before you. It shows a six-pointed star made from three intersecting lines. You draw a second card. It shows an open book lying open, spidery text and unfamiliar mystical diagrams visible on its ancient pages. And a moment of inspiration occurs to you. Might the star be a clue to finding Slank's library within the castle where Lufa Faze supposedly waits? Feeling confident, you draw a third card. This one shows a grinning devil wreathed in flames. Oh dear. With a flash of intuition, you sense nefarious magic at work and drop the pack of cards. As you do, they burst into flames. It takes only a few seconds for the whole deck to burn to ash. The last card to burn is that of the devil. Its expression of wicked glee has been replaced with a scornful, frustrated look now. And we gain a point of sanctity permanently. So our sanctity is now definitely our highest ability score, especially with our reduced combat skill and thievery. As you go on, a soft, low beating comes across the bleak plain. You listen to the sound and it seems to form words. Slay, slay, slay. You look up to see four dark shapes swooping through the air towards you. These are chonchons, disembodied heads that fly by using their grossly oversized veined ears as wings. Three of them attack, biting at you with jagged chisel-like teeth. Ah, one of the most memorable monsters from the original book, the Chon-Chons. And here they are. Okay, if we back into a corner, they can only come at us two at once. I think that's going to be enough to make an attack, so let's make a tactical assessment of the situation and defend. Okay. Whirlwind strike it is. Oh! You know what? We're going to suffer here. Okay. Let's shout. Ah, that's a problem. If we go to there. Okay. Oh, this is not going well. Better make an assessment of the situation and a whirlwind strike once again. Well, that's working for us at least. Oh, really? Okay. No, no, we'll just fight. We're really suffering because of these cursed gauntlets. But at least... Ah! Okay, we'll scream at them. Really? Damn it. Okay, fine. Got it, with a whirlwind strike. Soon you shall join your friends in death. Flying head of doom. Face the might of justice! Yes, that was a Baldur's Gate quote. Baldur's Gate 1, I think. Minsk had all the best lines when it came to stuff like that. Hovering directly above your head, the fourth Chon-Chon glares down. Nemo mi impune lecacit, it hisses. The next moment, you feel a hostile spell closing up around you. That's Latin, isn't it? Oh, it's no one hurts me without consequence. Or no one hurts me without revenge. Something like that, right? You resist the spell's effect. The foul sorcery washes over you, leaving you unharmed, because we are a paladin of Ravane. Actually, that's probably not why. We just got lucky, but hey, we'll take it. The fourth Chon-Chon has been hovering over you, watching the fight, which now starts to... The fourth Chon-Chon, which has been hovering over you, watching the fight, now starts to beat its ears furiously, flying off towards a far-off castle. If you possess any sort of thrown weapon, you may be able to bring down the fourth Chon-Chon, their leader, before it escapes out of range. If you possess a spear, a dagger, or a throwing knife, which we could have purchased, or a ranged weapon such as a bow or crossbow, you can make the attempt. We blatantly have a ranged weapon, but we're not allowed to use it. Why would that be? Don't try or no weapon. That may be a bug. You watch the wicked little Chon-Chon fly away unerringly towards the castle of Slank, which will now doubtless be on high alert. You trudge on across the vast plain of ash. The unbroken silence and unchanging light create a curious, soporific monotony. And so it is with some surprise that, glancing up from the path ahead, you realize that you have drawn near to the Castle of Lost Souls. It cannot be more than 2 or 3 leagues away. Encouraged, you press on towards it, and yet, though you march on, you cannot seem to reduce this distance. You walk on for at least a couple of hours, keeping your eyes on the castle the whole time, and yet, still it stands the same distance away, 2 leagues from you, perhaps 3. Presumably Slank has set enchantments around this castle to keep unwelcome visitors away. Sorcery powerful enough to provide the unerring sense of direction of your infernal boots which have guided you this far, we do still possess a crystal ball. When you gaze at the castle through the crystal ball, a shimmering path of green light is visible across the plain before you. Holding the crystal ball in front of you, you make your way along this path. You have been walking only a few minutes, intent on the ground directly before you, when you notice a dark shape looming ahead. You glance up from the crystal ball and almost drop it in shock. The castle of Lost Souls stands before you, a mere stone's throw away. Well then, we should travel into the castle indeed, but I think that can wait for the very next episode. I'll say goodbye for now, and I hope you've all enjoyed this episode, and I'll look forward to seeing you all in the next one, when we venture into the castle of Lost Souls. Take care, everybody. Goodbye for now.